Imagine a classroom where children are not learning just literacy and math. They're cracking eggs, stirring batter, measuring ingredients, and discovering the power of food and how it can make them feel. Today we are speaking to the fantastic Nikki Talbot, the woman who took this idea and turned it into a business. Nikki has taught a staggering 152,000 children and counting how to cook and how to thrive with food. Nikki is now in the process of franchising her very successful business up and down the UK. So if you are a service-based business who wants to scale, systemize, and deliver a real impact while staying true to your purpose, you're going to absolutely love this interview. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce you to Nikki Talbot of Pudding Pie. So hello, Nikki, and thank you very much for joining us. So before we launch into the questions, who is Nikki Talbot when she's not running her business?
Oh, that's a really good question. I am a mum, first and foremost. I love life, to be honest, Kelly. I feel like we only get one chance at this. Yep. And so I love exercising. I love personal development. I love just squeezing every single last drop that life has to offer us. There's a downside to that. I'm a bit of a perfectionist and I go at 100 miles an hour. I am a little bit obsessed with my business and everything that goes with it. But I like to think that I'm a little bit of everything. That's why I just love people, because I'm quite quiet in terms of I love reading, I love walking, I love exercising, but I'm also a real social bee as well. I love being around people as well, but on my terms.
So you transitioned from corporate finance into your wonderful business, Pudding Pie, in 2012. So what was the moment or the catalyst that you thought, you know what, I'm done with training. This is the passion that I need to follow?
Another fantastic question. It's really the $1 million question. It links into my why. Like most women that are lucky enough to have children, we had our children and it changed everything. I thought I was quite happy. I thought I was quite fulfilled working in corporate finance. I'd learnt a lot. I'd been promoted. I'd got all the fringe benefits. And then after having our children, they were born extremely prematurely at, first of all, 25 weeks.
Wow.
And then 30 weeks. I suppose when you have children, it makes you readdress everything anyway. But because we had our babies born so early, they were so vulnerable and fragile. And to put it into perspective, I always think it's good to sort of put a visual on it. So if you look at your thumb, if you're listening now, you look at your thumb and you look at the tip of your thumb to your second knuckle, that was the little face of each of our children when they were born at 25 weeks. So that was there from the top of their head to their chin, that was their little face. Equally, if you put like a Sky remote, which is a longer remote, in your hands, that was them from head to toe. And so when we brought Charlie home at 3 months of age, he still weighed less than 4 pounds.
Oh.
And if you think the average baby is like 7 pounds 4 at newborn, he was still extremely fragile and vulnerable. And I just wanted to nourish him. And we rather boldly went on and had another child. And Louis was our big baby at 30 weeks of gestation. So he was 10 weeks early, but he was 3 pounds 10. So the same weight as Charlie at 3 months of age. He was newborn, he was our big baby. And I just wanted to nourish them and to feed them. I'd always had an interest in nutrition. I threw myself into somebody called Annabelle Carmel's learnings with weaning and saw for my own eyes the transformation that food can make. So I pureed everything from fruits and vegetables and all of that. And all I wanted was to take them to school, to do something that I enjoyed during the school day and then pick them up from school.
Yeah.
That was my aspirations. That was it. And never in a million years did I think 13 years ago when I set up that it would be where it is today. But I guess it goes back to, if you do something you love, you never work a day.
Eat it, sleep it, breathe it, live it all of the time, because it just runs through your veins. I would imagine if you cut you in half, Pudding Pie would run through you like a drop.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's how nutrition became the priority for you, what you built your business on.
How did you incorporate the training that you've done as in your corporate role as a trainer manager into Pudding and Pie? What lessons or transferable skills were you able to take with you?
Do you know what? There's absolutely loads. So many people were like, what? I suppose because they saw the new me, which is food and nutrition teacher, they assumed that I had like a catering background or cooking or teaching background. And I always put my hands up to say, I'm not a fantastic cook. I'm all right, but I'm self-taught. And actually, if you can train adults, so I would train adults in software stuff, so like Excel, how to run a quote, so like internal systems, as well as softer skills, leadership, motivation, training skills. If you can, anyone that's ever been training adults, they come into the session, they've got their arms crossed, of course.
Yeah.
And you've got to turn them around, and you've got to convince them that actually you might be a little bit younger than them, you might have less experience of them in the business, but you've still got something to offer them. So actually teaching children that are so excited to be there, so keen and curious, is a doddle. But actually there's a lot of transferable skills there. So actually it wasn't that different. Training in finance to teaching cooking really wasn't that different, I don't think.
Just more of a fun audience.
Yeah.
More of a fun, interactive audience.
Absolutely. Yeah, you might be a little bit messier, but you know, it's all good.
So from doing research, you've taught a staggering 152,000 children. That is so many children through your programs. Firstly, kudos on that. What has been your biggest operational challenges from going from a smaller venture into this franchise and national brand that you are now building?
So first of all, that figure was back when I celebrated 10 years. So it definitely will be an awful lot more now. There's so many lessons, Kelly. And I think this is the thing when we're in business, isn't it? You don't know what you don't know. And you think, yeah, I've cracked it. I'm on it now. I know what I'm doing. Then suddenly a curveball comes out. I do believe in speaking from the scar rather than the wound. And I'm almost at the end of a really rather painful lesson myself, which involves VAT. So I'm doing some major work behind the scenes at the moment. It's been incredibly painful, incredibly expensive. And I think anybody that is in business and has been for a while also will resonate with them that you're always learning. And I think you've got to be open-minded. It's all about the mind, how you feel about business, not giving up. And even if you don't know the answer, knowing that it's okay not to know the answer, and just having the faith, having your own back, I suppose, having your own back, and to be like, it's okay, I've been through tougher times, and even though I don't know the answer yet, I know that it will be okay. And as I said, this is my biggest lesson, has been very recently and still going through at the moment.
Yeah, well, it's what is it they say, new levels, new devils.
Yeah. Massively so. But you know what, again, one of my little mantras is I never ever fail. I either succeed or I learn, and this is the learning stage I'm at the moment. Having to restructure around that so that I can be in the best position for my customers and my franchisees is what it's all about at the moment.
Yeah, I really like what you said about speak from the scar and not from the wound. I've never heard that before.
Well, I think for me, we all want to learn from each other.
Yeah.
And part of that is being vulnerable. But I think there's also a fine line between not taking responsibility and going, woe is me, oh, this has happened now, oh, I'm in trouble again. And if we are sharing from the scar, we can say, look, I've been through this and this is how I overcame it. This is how I can help you. In an ideal world, I would say we'd be having this conversation in another 6 weeks' time, because I'd be like, right, now I know what I need to do. I'm probably 90% there. So, but as I said, it's been 3 months of this little problem becoming bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and just not panicking about it, really.
I've always found when things have gone wrong in my own business and things like that, that's where you've learned the most. Like that's where you grow the most. That's where your brain, I think, clicks into another like dimension of trying to overview and look at the problem to be able to sort it out, and it just makes you wiser and stronger as you go on.
Really does. I mean, and you've only just got to look back at when you were a kid, riding your bike. It felt like the worst thing in the world, the hardest thing in the world, but you did it. I'm sure that you can look back, Kelly, from like 12 months ago or 5 years ago, something that you found hard that you can do well now. And it's just reminding yourself, isn't it?
So your core services span nurseries, primary schools and community groups. How did you refine to your target customer over time? Do you pivot or do you keep it on a narrow focus?
A bit of both, actually. So I did have to pivot in COVID, like a lot of people. I wasn't.
I bet that really affected you, actually. How did you manage to do that with being an in-person instructor?
I had to go online, and I remember crying. I'm not a crier, very, very rarely. I haven't probably cried now for since that time, since COVID. honestly. And I remember crying. One, because on the day that I realised I wasn't able to go to schools and nurseries, I also discovered that I was going to have to homeschool my two boys, who at the time were year 7 and year 9. And they thought it was amazing. I was like, no. But anyway, I burst into tears, and I remember going to bed and literally crying in bed. And my husband was like, look, you're just going to have to get yourself online. At the time, I didn't even like FaceTiming. And then I did it. Some of the highlights were teaching children and reaching for in Australia, Dubai, Saudi Arabia, all over, teaching 75 families how to make toad in the hole, all over, all at the same time, doing a charity fundraiser for 100 families where we made, I can't remember what it was now, like some Easter egg brownie thing. Amazing stuff. And we raised loads of money for the NHS, loads of money for our Good Hope Hospital, our local hospital. It was amazing. So that was a pivot. You do have to pivot in times like that, but also I do stay in my lane. So I'm gonna say both, because quite often, I don't know whether it happens to you, Kelly, but people will have great ideas about your business.
Yeah.
What about doing this? Or what about doing that? And it's really easy to get your head turned. So I am very much about staying in my lane, that recognising what it is that my customers need. Advice now is turning into what I advise my franchisees, my business partners. So I will advise them, start off with the schools. That's what will get your cash flow coming in first. That will help build brand awareness. It goes to that second generation now.
And how was the energy from teaching kiddies in the classroom to teaching them online with their mum and dads?
It was really interesting. I didn't think I'd like it, but I really did. So imagine having a cooking school. So part of my offering pre-COVID was a cooking school on a Saturday morning. And that was 2 classes of 30 children back to back. About half an hour space to just get it out the oven, get it over to the parents, clean up and start again. Imagine then going online, having one bowl in front of you in your own kitchen. I found it a lot easier, an awful lot easier. And it was so interesting because the younger children, all they want to do is talk. And the older just don't want to talk to you at all and won't even have Amazon sometimes. So I found it really interesting, and I was like, I'm never going back to in person. Never, ever in a million years. I loved my Saturday morning cooking school, but it was only once it was forced upon me to not do it that I was like, I'm not working Saturdays anymore. And I haven't worked on Saturdays since COVID now. It's mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
What you will never give up, when it's forced upon you, it makes you realise that actually this can be a good thing.
Yeah, I've had that happen to myself in business, and like when I've done the thing or got over the thing, I've wanted to like slap myself for not doing it sooner. You just think like, why did I avoid that for so long? Like, why was I so frightened of doing that next step or whatever? Because I always think like, as long as you don't die, everything else has come back fromable.
Yeah.
So your model, it integrates cookery with literacy, maths, science and behaviour skills. How did you design that?
I suppose it goes back to giving your customer what they want, what they need. So rather than, and this can apply to any business really, customers might say, so in my case might say, schools might say, oh, we really want to teach children health and nutrition. Brilliant, really important. It's a life skill. But actually I look at where their pain points are. And they have so many pain points schools have in terms of the curriculum. So they are really struggling to get children to understand numbers.
Yeah.
They're really struggling to get through the SATs in terms of literacy. Mental health is huge. There are 5 children in every classroom of 30 now of children that are suffering with mental health in some shape, form or capacity.
Wow, really? That's a big number.
So rather than giving them just what they're asking for, i.e. cooking lessons, I want to give them above and beyond. So when a child takes part in a lesson in our schools, so we do breakfast club, lunchtime club, after school clubs and curriculum lessons, we are teaching them about raising agents, about melting points in science, and it's real life, it's experiments. Yeah. We're teaching them, as a young age, from the age of 3, about counting out patterns, shapes as they're making whatever it is they're doing. And as they're going up into the school, we're talking about ratios, fractions. We're making these subjects. This is a recipe for 8 people. So if you had 12 friends round, what do you need to do to the ingredients to make them, make it work? Talking about culture and history. So we might make fig and fudge biscuits, but we're talking about how Christopher Columbus discovered figs. So we're bringing that in as well. There's so much stuff that we're bringing in.
Wow, yeah.
It's high energy. There's loads of stuff going on. And this is why schools love us, because it's not just cooking.
Yeah, I can see why. It's like a whole, you deliver the whole curriculum within the lessons. Yeah.
Yeah, and it goes right from early years. So early years is all about speech and language development. It's about fine motor. I can't ever say fine motor without doing this with my hands. But that's basically helping them learn to write. And the PSHE, which is the personal, the social, the health, the emotional, is huge, whether the child is 3 or 13. So for me, that's about, not every child is academic, not every child is sporty, but they still deserve to be seen and they still need this confidence boost. So in our lessons, we have a star baker, we have a best team, and that's then about recognising the individual who's been really kind to their teammates, that's listened really well. So we really, really hone in on those interpersonal skills that school and nursery are also trying to help the children with. So we're mirroring everything that they're talking about as well. Yeah. So I think that's why schools and nurseries do love having pudding and pie in.
Yeah, I can see why. It sounds super fun. So your fussy eaters, behaviour and speech and language pillars are very intriguing. Which one of those has been the hardest for you to crack and why?
And these are really good questions, these are, Kelly. Probably the fussy eating, and that is again something I kind of find that the younger children are not too bad. It's as they get older. I always blame school dinners. My son was great until he started school, and then they overcooked the carrots and he was, I don't like carrots. So what we do with this is there's absolutely zero pressure on them. So imagine the scenario when you've got around the dinner table and little Johnny won't eat his dinner, or Rosie's picking at hers, and there's so much pressure to eat their dinner. When they're cooking, they are touching, they are handling, they are smelling, they are feeling it without any pressure to eat it. We do actively encourage them as they're going along. Have a little smell of that. Well, that one's not going in the bowl, so why don't you just lick it? And it's all these little steps, these little baby steps that help them become familiar with food, that it's not the enemy and they don't need to eat it, so that they handle it 3, 4, 5 times, and then the next stage is that they'll give it a go.
So you now offer business ownerships within Pudding and Pie for women, for franchisee ownership. How did you decide to expand that business model? And what are you looking for people to approach you if they were interested? What takes a good pudding and pie?
My mission has always been to reach more children, and I can't do that by myself.
Yeah. So
I need other women that are passionate about children's health and well-being, that are a bit of a foodie. And I'm finding more and more teachers approach me now. They love teaching, but they don't want to be in a classroom anymore. I really get on my soapbox. I'm never going to apologise about this, where when we have fulfilling roles, where you're doing a service that is really needed, you kind of feel that you don't want to earn your worth. So it's like, but I really enjoy what I do, and it's really worthwhile. It doesn't have to be exclusive for me. For me, it's about doing something that you love and absolutely having the reward for it as well, and not being afraid to say that you're ambitious. You know, if a guy is ambitious, they can be like, oh, that guy's really ambitious, he's a real go-getter, all the rest of it. If a woman, not always, and I think we're turning around now, but if a woman is that way, she's quite ruthless, you know, or she's quite greedy, or she's very money orientated. Actually, why the heck can't we be ambitious, but also to be loving, to be soft, to be nurturing and ambitious? We don't have to be one or the other. Somebody said to me the other day, I was talking to her, she is a deputy head in a school, very unhappy in her work. She said, what's the catch? And I get that, because it's like, I'm offering you reduced hours for double the pay on your own terms. What is the catch? Yeah. The catch basically is you, the person I'm talking to. You've got to take a leap of faith.
Yes.
And that's hard. That I never underestimate that. When somebody decides to be one of my business partners, I'm always grateful for that, because they're taking a real punt on themselves, aren't they? Being a really good communicator. And actually, I'm talking about teachers, but it doesn't have to be. I've got some people that are in my team that have had nothing to do with teaching, but they love children and they love food, and that's enough.
So how would somebody go about contacting you to look at your franchise opportunities and territories and whatnot?
I'm on all the platforms. I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. So under Pudding Pie Ltd. They can email me or come onto my website, which is www.puddingandpie.org.uk, and they can contact me that way.
Fabulous. I will put all of those links in the description.
Thank you.
In your role, you are wearing many hats, because you are the founder of the business, you're the educator, the business manager, the brand builder. How do you manage your time and your energy so effectively?
I don't always. That's so I can't remember whether we were talking about this on camera or not, but I am all or nothing, Kelly. So I am 100 miles an hour, or I'm horizontal. I don't really do in between. I don't do grey. So I take my rest time as importantly as my business time. So I will be back to back, non-stop during the working day. Don't bother calling me at 9 o'clock at night though. I love all of the things, the massages. I love my sleep. I love my good food. Nothing weird and wonderful, but I suppose I value my downtime as much as I do my being on as well.
Yeah, I mean, I noticed when we were at an event together, you had little pots with your nuts in and your little snacks in throughout the day. So you plan like your nutrition.
I am a planner. Yeah, I am a planner. Yeah. I'm quite animal. So my water, you won't see me often at an event without my water. And I just really guard my energy levels, whether it's through nutrition, whether it's through sleep, and honestly, through people as well. I've become more adept at noticing the radiators and the drains, and not being such a people pleaser or trying to rescue people.
What would you say are the mindset shifts that you need to have moved from doing the work and teaching it to leading the business? How did you make that transition? Because that's a hard one to make.
Okay, well, my first response to that is it took me 12 years to stop teaching. Okay, so I'm not really qualified to be able to say I'm brilliant at it. It took me a long time. One, because I love it, and two, because I'm a bit of a control freak. However, like anything, as soon as I did it, so it's been over 12 months now, and I've grown double in that time just by not being embroiled in the £10 tasks, if you like.
Yep.
I'm still finding it hard. I still outsource bits and pieces, and just when I think, yeah, I've got it, then more stuff comes in and I'm like, okay, I need to try and adjust that, whatever. So I suppose I'm a working project, but I think it's back to thinking about what our mission is.
Yeah.
So back to my mission of I want to reach more children. So I was probably teaching, let's say, 600 children myself. I either have the choice, those children, 600 children my way, which by the way, isn't necessarily the best way at all. Or as a business, we reach 1,000, maybe 12, probably 1,400 now a week, maybe 80% of the Nikkiisms. Again, there could be other ways that are better than me. Surely that's better. Teaching more children, reaching more children, but still a great standard, because I've put those standards in and said, this is what I need you to do. Add your own flavour, add your own personality, but these are the important things. You must adhere to these standards. Anything else, knock yourself out and do it in your own way.
What would you say has been the most significant fail or setback that you have had in your business to date? What does it teach you?
Going back to the COVID thing, that was not so much a fail, but that was a big setback. Not just about teaching online, but I didn't engage social media wise, really. I didn't know all of you amazing people, other women in business, other networking groups. I was really, I wouldn't say late to the party, but because my business wasn't an online business, it was almost like another world. I suppose that was probably one of my biggest learnings / steps up as a business. I became so much more, I'd look at other people that have got these amazing online businesses, and before I know it, I'm friends with them. That was like just a real moment of, wow, this is amazing. I never would have become connected with other people if it wasn't for COVID. At the very similar time actually of COVID, so I came online. I became more rubbing shoulders with other people that could really help me. I also gave up booze. So I gave up alcohol for 5 years in August. That has been a massive part of my journey. I've got so much more energy. I've got a real sense of purpose.
What made you make that decision?
Had really bad migraines from alcohol, finding that I might only have, let's say, 2 glasses of wine and have a 3-day hangover. And when I say this out loud, I do feel quite foolish, because it's like, so why didn't you stop? So again, socially, it's like the thing. And I've come from a group of very sociable inner circle, my friends. We've been friends for like 30 odd years. So I tried different drinks. I tried drinking lots of water. I tried eating more, all different things. And I did an experiment. There's actually something on Facebook called the alcohol experiment. And you give up booze for 30 days. And I researched everything. I read all the books, and it opened up a new world to me. And it got me to really explore, why did I drink? And I was like, well, maybe a bit of a confidence booster. I like to have a good time. And actually, I realised that it wasn't doing any of those things. So I never gave up booze as in, I'm never going to drink again. I did it as an experiment to see how it went. And I haven't looked back. Then once I've done the 30 days, I was like, right, I want to do a Christmas. I want to do a birthday. And I want to do a holiday, booze-free. My husband still drinks. That was it then. I didn't look back.
If you had to write a manifesto for your business, what would be one sentence you would want every child, family or teacher to remember after a session with you and Pudding and Pie?
Really, really good question. There's no good or bad foods. There are foods that you can eat in abundance, and that's going to make you big and strong. And there are other foods that you might not eat quite as often. But there is no good and no bad foods. There really isn't. Because I think that as soon as you label a food as a naughty food or a treat food, you suddenly kind of make them more attractive for the children. So, we will make chocolate brownies, but they've got beetroot in them. So they've got that added health benefit for them. Every single one of our recipes have a superhero ingredient in them. When we talk about sugar, we talk about why it's not good for us, and we want to reinforce what parents are saying, only have a small slice or just have the one, make sure you've eaten all your dinner. But yeah, I think it would go back to no good or bad foods, everything in moderation.
And I think it's important to learn about the nutrition, isn't it, with the things that you see going on in the world, and like autoimmune diseases on the rise, and like cancers on the rise, and different things, whether, what the environment plays in that, what our food plays in that, what our exercise and movement, and not living a sedentary lifestyle and things. And the fact that you start at 3, don't you?
Yeah.
like the fact that you're starting with little bambinos like that, like what a fabulous thing that they would grow up knowing the value of nutrition and how to fuel their body to get the best out of their body. And
it's amazing. It's amazing what they can remember as well. So we're cracking an egg, and they know that eggs are good for your teeth, your bones, your muscles. They can kind of reel things off so much so because they've started at such a young age. It's a beautiful thing.
What advice would you give to women who are in service-based businesses now and wondering how they would take, if they've got a little side hustle or a smaller business, what advice would you give them to start to scale?
Well, first of all, make sure that it's something that they're passionate about. Because if they're going to scale it, that means they're going to spend more time on it. So if they are enjoying it, then that's good. And to think about the numbers, not ever lose sight of the numbers, because I think when you look at your numbers, they're not going to lie to you. Give yourself goals, and rather than goals in terms of I want to achieve that financial goal, that income goal, I would always say maybe focus on your metrics, the bit behind it. I would love to have 10 new business partners by this time next year. What is it that I need to do to be able to do that? So rather than just focus on that number, I will then go a little bit further back. Okay, so looking at my my ratios, how many people do I need to speak to, and keep that consistent, because sometimes it can be you can feel a bit despondent otherwise if you focus on the achieving goal.
Yes.
And then you're coming from a point of scarcity rather than abundance. Actually, I speak to lots and lots of women. I'm not attached to whether they join me as a business partner or not. If they are somebody that I think would really benefit, then yeah, I'd love that to happen, but I'm not attached to whether they are or not. All I'm attached to is what I can control.
Yes.
And I can control how many calls I follow up on, how much time I spend on sales activity. So I would say always focus on the stuff that you can control rather than the things that you can't, and they will naturally come through them.
Is that something you've always done, or is that something you've had to train yourself to do?
Train myself, I think, yeah. I am ambitious. I am goals driven, but I have realised that actually my own mindset is probably the most important thing. So if I'm feeling in the past despondent, then that's not serving me well. So actually focus on the things that I can control, like I've just said. Then you're like, brilliant, I've done what I've set out to do today. I've told myself that I want to spend 2 hours on those sales call, or follow up on 10 women, whatever it is that I've set myself to do. I've achieved that. The other bits will naturally come through.
What is the messiest lesson that you've ever had in one of your cookery classes?
And I do remember one particular child. I can't remember exactly what happened, but I was responsible. I must have nudged or tipped the bowl that she had, and it was just flour and it was quite full. And it literally went up into her face, even so her whole face was covered in flour. She even had flour on her eyelashes.
Oh.
And the one teacher that was in the session with me, she was like, she's probably the worst child for it to happen to. But she dealt with it really well, to be fair. She really, really did. We made a bit of a laugh about it, got sorted out really quickly. But yeah, that does stay with me. And that was probably, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago. But I do remember her whole face was just literally white. But we do. And I think this is, again, we have so many parents that are like talking about clean hands and, you know, overly clean, all that kind of stuff. And this is why kids love it. They've got their hands in. They're cutting, they're rolling, they're kneading the bread, and they absolutely love that sort of tactile, particularly SEND children. Tactile, hands-on experience is so important to them.
Your classes sound great. I want to do one. So, final and most difficult question. When Nikki is on a break from doing all things pudding and pie, what's her go-to biscuit?
Oh my goodness me.
Biscuits.
Yeah, I do eat biscuits. I love biscuits. Do you know what? I love all biscuits, but I love a good old ginger snap. I love ginger.
Oh, yeah, I like a ginger snap.
I really do. But I could talk about biscuits all day as well. I love them all. I really, really do. But yeah, a good old ginger snap. Dunked in my tea, of course.
Gotta be done. Thank you very much for your time today, Nikki. It's been great to get to know you and Pudding Pie a lot better and in more detail. I'll pop all of your links in the description box below. And any ladies that are listening that are interested in a franchise opportunity, or anyone I know in my network, I will be sending them your way. Thank you so much, Nikki Talbot, for your time today.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you so much for watching today's video with the fantastic and very talented Nikki Talbot. I love Nikki. I have the pleasure of being able to go networking with Nikki, and she brings so much energy and positivity to every session. She really does light up the room when she comes, and she's such a hard-working and dedicated woman to her business, to her family, to her friends, and everything that she does. If you want to find out how you could have a franchise with Pudding Pie and work alongside Nikki, or you just want to be in Nikki's world, and I suggest you do, to suck up all that lovely energy that she puts out into the universe, you will find all of her details in the description box below. I will be here next week with a brand new video, but until then, you stay sparkling. Bye bye.